In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how not to get gate checked. And if you don't know what gate checking is, stay tuned. So there are many joys to traveling with just a carry-on and a personal item. We don't have to wait at the baggage carousel anymore. We don't have to worry about our luggage going missing. We don't have to worry about dragging our luggage as we go from hotel to hotel or hotel to train. It's just a pleasure to travel that way. But what happens if they suddenly take away your baggage as you're boarding the plane? That's what's called gate checking, and that's what's been happening recently. So let's talk a little bit about why it's happening and strategies to avoid it. Now, this has been named the carry-on crisis. Now, the reason that this is happening is because the airlines are now charging for you to check your luggage. Paying $100, $120 for checking a piece of luggage, that can become a big deal, but that means a lot more people are traveling with carry-on luggage. Now, this leads to gate checking when there's no more room in the overhead bins and they ask you to leave your luggage right as you're about to board the plane. Now, there are two ways that people get gate checked. One is voluntarily. That's when you're sitting around waiting to board the plane and you hear an announcement saying that the overhead bins are filled and who would like to voluntarily give up their bag so that they can board the plane earlier. That might seem like a bonus because you're getting on the plane quicker, but it really isn't if they then lose your luggage, which is the whole reason you pack carry-on only. The other way is when the attendants will tell you that you have to gate check and they take away your bags at the gate. So this defeats the reason for why you went carry-on in the first place. But there are a couple of strategies for how you can get around this. So let's talk a little bit about strategies to avoid being gate checked. The first of these is compliance. Now, the flight personnel at the gate are trained to spot out bags that look too big. And so if you're traveling with a bag that does not comply, either your personal size bag or your carry-on bag, they will force you into gate checking. So that's the first thing you want to make sure is that you're making compliance. Another thing is the color of your bags. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but black bags get gate checked less than colorful bags. And that's because black, as we all know, makes things look smaller. So if you happen to have a bag that might be a little bit on the larger side, you might want to make sure that your bag is black. Consider using backpacks. Now, there are backpacks that are the exact same size as a carry-on bag, but for some reason, if it's on your back, they don't think so. And so those bags are rarely gate checked. So a backpack is another way to avoid being gate checked. And while we're talking about compliance, make sure that you're weight compliant too, if your airline has a weight compliance, because they might make you weigh your bag right at the gate. And if you're not making weight compliance, they'll take away your bag then too. And while we're on the topic of compliance, it is very important that you pack your bags in the correct way. Now, your carry-on should only have items that can go into the cargo hold. And your personal item bag should have all the items that you cannot be separated from. Now, what are the items that have to go into a personal item bag? Well, your medicines, your passport, your emergency pack, and anything that contains lithium batteries, like your computer and maybe a battery bank. That all belongs in your personal item bag. Everything else can go into your carry-on bag. This is just in case you get gate checked. And it's very important that you have your personal item packed out properly, because if you are gate checked, you want to make sure that you have everything that you need and cannot possibly lose with you at all times. And that belongs in your personal item. Now, one last point about making compliance. If you're going to be making a transfer, make sure that you're making compliance not only for the first leg of your flight, but also the second leg of your flight. Because sometimes the airlines that you're transferring to have more stringent requirements for making compliance, and you could be losing your bag on the second leg of that trip. And that's something you never want to happen. So another reason that you might be gate checked is because you have too many items. Now, when they say one carry-on bag and one personal item, they mean one carry-on bag and one personal item. So if you're wearing a crossbody bag or a neck rest for sleeping, or you have attached to your bag a blanket, those things count as personal items. So if you can't get those items into your carry-on bag or your personal item bag, you're going to get gate checked. So you want to make sure that you have those items either in your personal item bag or in your carry-on bag. And in the case of a crossbody bag, You can kind of hide it if you have a jacket to put over it, but if they see it, it counts, and you're going to get gate checked. Well, I hope you're finding value in this video so far, and if you are, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below, and also don't forget to leave me comments because I love to hear from you all. If your flight is full, there's a bigger chance you're going to get gate checked. Now, how do you find out if your flight is full? Check on the airlines app and see how many seats are taken up. And if most of the seats are taken up, you know the flight is full. What do you do then? Well, the first thing is get to the gate early, because now they are actually boarding the plane earlier than scheduled. And the importance of getting to the gate early is that when they call your number, that you're first online. Now, I'm not suggesting that you shove people out of your way to get first online, but if you're in the front of the group that's just been called, you have a better chance of getting into the overhead bins. My second strategy is to get priority boarding. Yes, I know you pay a little bit extra for priority boarding, which only costs about, $20 to $30 or at most $40 more. It's still cheaper than for most airlines checking a piece of luggage. Priority boarding will get you into the plane while there's still room in the overhead bins, and that's what we really care about. So for me, it's worth it to spend $30 or $40 to get into the plane sooner. Also, that applies for some airlines with extra legroom. And while it costs a little bit more for the extra legroom, you are gaining more comfort on the flight, and you're also gaining more room in the overhead bins. Another way to avoid gate checking is using a credit card that's tied to that airline. Now, for instance, we fly a lot of JetBlue because my daughter lives in California. While I'm purchasing my day-to-day purchases, I'm gaining points from that airline for special perks. And for most airline credit cards, that gives you priority boarding status, which means that you're not paying for priority boarding, you're getting it gratis through the credit card. Now with JetBlue, we have Mosaic status, and with that comes more leg room, we get half-price drinks and half-price food, and we get the pick of the bins. So it's worth it for us to put all our day-to-day expenditures on that credit card, because that makes that credit card work for us when we fly with them. So another benefit of using an airline credit card is that you can get an upgrade in your ticket. And when you get an upgraded ticket, you definitely get the pick of the overhead bins. So not only are you getting a benefit of a more comfortable flight, you're getting the benefit of an overhead bin, and this is all for expenditures that you would have spent on anyhow. So this isn't so much a strategy about how not to get gate checked, but just advice. If this whole thing is stressing you out, you might want to find an airline that allows you to have free luggage, like Southwest, which allows you one free checked bag. That way, you might find it a little less stressful than having to worry about being gate checked. Now, I hope I gave you a lot of good advice, and if you're not sure how to pack your bag for both personal and carry-on items, check out this video over here.